Welcome to the Social Engineer Podcast, the SE Etc. series. This is episode 280. I'm Chris Hadnagy, CEO and founder of Social-Engineer LLC, the Innocent Lives Foundation, and the Institute for Social Engineering. And this podcast has been around since 2009. And even though that's true, I wouldn't go back and listen to those earlier episodes. They're really long and really difficult to hear, but we have been around quite a while. As always, this is sponsored by Social-Engineer LLC. Really excited to announce that in the new year, we have a foundational application of social engineering class here in Orlando. The dates are February 18 through 21 of 2025. I can't believe I'm saying the date 2025 already. And that's coming around the corner because it feels like it should not be. But there we are. Really excited about that class. We've had it up on the website just for a little bit, and it's already filling up. I think we're going to probably cap that off around 14, 16 students. We'll see. So if you want to come to that class, check out social-engineer.org or .com, social-engineer.com, and go to the training section. You can see that class. Yes, we've been asked. We will be putting a practical application of SE class up there probably sometime in the May, June area. I'm not really sure. We're looking at the location of Washington, D.C., and we're looking at the dates right now. So that should be up on the website soon. So really excited about those classes coming up. Get in because I'm not sure how many we'll be doing next year due to our busy schedules, which are insane right now. I'm sure like you, like everyone else, we're just going nuts. Okay, a few quick announcements. If you like the topic of social engineering, you should definitely be in our Slack channel. The link is in the show notes. We discuss all things SE. It's family friendly and legal. And if that sounds like you, come on in. And also, I want to invite everyone to take a moment to go check out innocentlivesfoundation.org, a nonprofit that was started a little over 7 years ago. Our mission there is to help law enforcement geolocate and find people who traffic children and who create child abuse material. We do this as a non-vigilante group where we don't use undercover tactics or anything like that you see on Facebook. We actually use OSINT skills to find, locate these people, and then critical thinking to make connections and then hand them off to federal law enforcement around the globe so these people can be apprehended and stop hurting kids. If you want to support our mission, we can definitely use it. We need some help with donations. So if you want to go check that out, go to innocentlivesfoundation.org. And last but not least, if you like the music at the beginning of this episode and the end, it is none other than the band Clutch. Go check out clutchmerch.com. Go see them live. That's really the best way. I mean, they got the best rock and roll. You can listen to them on Spotify, anywhere. But if you really want to enjoy Clutch, you got to go see them live. Okay, keep giving us your topics. I say this all the time, and sometimes I know people are afraid to give us your topics, but we had one come up, and someone asked if we can change the SE Etc. series to the way it was when Patrick was here. I get it. I miss him too. We're discussing it. We'll see what we can do into the next year. Right now, it's near the end of this year, so we're not going to be able to change anything. But I miss it too. Those kind of episodes were a lot of fun. So please keep giving us your ideas because you never know what happens and what themes we can come up with next. But for this time, we are talking about news stories in the world of social engineering, mainly because what we find is a lot of times people, if you're a business person out there and you're really busy each and every day, you're a CISO, you're not going to have the time to follow every news story. So we feel like giving you 15 minutes of just break down what's going on in the world of hacking right now might really help you. So here's our first one. And it's true. Scammers are really stepping up their game right now because we are seeing some very sophisticated email attacks. And it doesn't stop just because it's Gmail, even though they're really good at trying to stop these type of attacks. But scammers are now using AI. And some of these emails are so convincing that it really is becoming much harder to not become a victim of these. This particular email I'm talking about, it aims to reset your Gmail password and then to take control of your account. And once they have your control, then they're going to use your email to get into other accounts, right? Reset passwords from things that you may have connected to that account and to get into other things like your Microsoft solutions, bank accounts, Netflix, credit cards, all sorts of stuff. At the heart of this Gmail takeover scam is a combination of a lot of traditional SE, right? Typically, it begins with a fake Gmail two-factor authentication recovery notification. You get that. You confirm the 2FA. You've been given the scammer the ability now to take over your account. And this is the problem, of course. However, if you ignore it, this is where things get interesting. You receive a follow-up email. That's the 2FA email. And then a phone call that's supposedly from Google. And the scammer is using an AI-generated voice that sounds eerily professional and really human. It's kind of scary how good they're at this. But the voice there is claiming that there's suspicious activity. Of course, that induces fear. And that fear is what makes us usually shut down our critical thinking. Our amygdala is all engaged. And they name a foreign country that this is coming from. I'm sitting here in America. Why would someone from China be logging into my Gmail account? And that's where they now get the code that your second factor code, which they can log into your account for. How does this all start? A lot of times because when breaches occur, we see, let's say, an AT&T breach, or we see some other breach, and we're involved in that. So we go and we change our AT&T password. But over 60%, maybe close to 70% of the people out there reuse passwords. So they don't think about, well, that AT&T password that I have, that's the same password I have on Gmail. Now, the scammers think that way. So what they do is now they have your email, and they go and they try that same exact password. But now they get a 2FA stop. Good on you. You got that multi-factor going. But that's when these accounts start. These attacks start. So if you have an account that's been breached and you're reusing passwords, you need to change that password everywhere you reused it. Of course, my next bit of advice is get a password manager. That can stop all of this. But always have 2FA on, and realize that most likely Google's not going to call you. They're not going to take the time. They have hundreds of millions of users. They're not going to call you on the phone to say there's suspicious activity from China or somewhere else. So critically think through that. Don't give anyone those codes on the internet, and change those passwords. Really, do that quick. Here's another one. We just saw a news report that Fidelity had a breach, 77,000 customers. And now there is a class action lawsuit against them because of this data breach. It's alleging basically negligence and invasion of privacy. Now, this is a pretty big deal because, we see breaches each and every day. And we don't see class action suits a lot of times from the customers. But this lawsuit says social security numbers, financial information, names, phone numbers, addresses, they were all accessed by the criminals. And now the complaint states that they basically failed to protect the breach victim's personal information, and that is why there's a lawsuit. I'm not going to speak about this particular case, but I honestly feel that if we start seeing more and more of these type of things occur, where companies that are breached because of negligence get sued, that maybe they'll start stepping up their game and doing some things to protect before. So I think maybe lawsuits, sadly, and regulations from the government can enforce that some of these testings need to be done, could start to protect us as the consumer, because it's getting out of hand out there. It's already out of hand, isn't it? Let's talk about another breach, Cisco data breach. And this one is pretty big because this can affect Microsoft, Barclays, and SAP. This came from the CSO Online magazine. It was October 15th, so pretty recently, that a notorious hacker group basically started selling a ton of data from Cisco on the dark web. They claimed that they stole it as recently as June of this year, 2024. And they basically now are launching an investigation into this. Here's the problem. The affected data is developer data for a number of Cisco customers. And the names are big: Microsoft, Barclays, SAP, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. So according to the breach form, they said that the nefarious people had all this compromised data, including source code, hard-coded credentials, certificates, API tokens, and more. This same organization is the one that claims to have hacked General Electric, Europool, and Zscaler. So not a small group. And we're seeing more and more of this. And sadly, right now, if this is true, this can have a massive effect on a lot of organizations. So we need to stay awake. If this involves any of you, if any of those names sound like that, if you're in that Cisco group, you definitely want to pay attention to this announcement. So what do we do about all this? Well, again, I kind of reiterate some of the things. If you're a part of any of these breaches, if any of those big names that you heard kind of rang a bell for you, you need to go change passwords right now. Set up MFA, 2FA on everything. And if possible, don't use text message, right? Because we hear of SIM swapping all the time, and that creates problems for you if you have it coming into your phone. Use apps like Duo or your password manager to use the MFA, things that are separate. So that way, let's say your phone died, got stolen, dropped in water, and it just completely dead, that you can at least have that app that would allow you to reconnect to those things. Or if your phone was SIM swapped, and that was the case, that those apps will still keep you protected. So these are some different things that you can do. And if you're a company that really is curious and worried about these type of attacks, then you can reach out to us. We have a host of managed services that focus on the human element. And what they do is they help your company to stay safe and aware on how to report these things and how to catch these things. I know these news stories are always bleak, and I wish I could end with something positive, but I can end with something like this, that I know as we end this year, if you can believe that, we are This is out now. We're going into November as you're listening to this. We will be looking at 2025 with advancements in artificial intelligence to help us stay safe from social engineering attacks. And Social Engineer will hopefully be a big part of that as we enter the new year. So it was a busy year. It flew by. We have a couple more months before we end. But until then, stay safe and continue to check out social-engineer.com. And we will see you all later. See you. Oh, one last thing. If you're going to come to Hubie, come say hi. I'd love to see you. I know this comes out a couple days before Human Behavior Conference here in Orlando, and 2 days after you're listening to this. I hope you're there. We'll see you there. Bye.